So we're gonna say initialize passport, and in here we're gonna pass in some variable. We're gonna pass in passport, and now what we simply want to do is go ahead and find a user by email. So I told you guys we did this over here. Now we need to come over here and initialize that. Okay, so for this passport, I'm gonna separate this on different lines, so I don't end up confusing you guys. Now there's going to be passport and there's going to be an email. So this email is going to simply have an arrow like this, and we're going to pass in users.find. So now we're going to be finding a user based on an email that's they've provided before in our database when they were signing up. So we're going to say user.email. Okay, and this is going to be checking if it's equal to email. So what's this? This is simply checking for the email that we've got, okay, from the user over here. It's checking from the email that we've got from a user over here, and it's checking that and comparing it to the one that we have in our database, and it's checking if the one we have to our database is equal to the one that they passed into the login form. Okay, so as you all know from over here, we've got this email tom@gmail.com. Now what it's simply going to do is going to grab this email over here and compare it to the one that they've passed in over here, and if it's correct, then we're going to do something. If it's not correct, then we're going to go ahead and do another thing, which is like show them the error that they got in and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so after this, the next thing we're going to do is simply go ahead and work with the flash messages, because why not? So we can go ahead and just require the flash messages. We can do this at the top, because that way we are importing everything that we need. So we could say const, and we could call this flash. You could call it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine flash, and for the flash, we're going to simply require as usual, and what we're simply requiring for is express flash, and we also need another one that's going to be express session, and this one over here I simply want to name it session. Okay, so you guys remember from the beginning of the video, we created a .env file and we have the secret key inside. Take note, we are still going to use this. Okay, we are almost getting to the place that we're going to use it. Now in the server.js, we've gotten the flash, we've gotten the sessions. Okay, you guys already know what those will be used for. I explained them why installing the app, but when you're going to be using them, I'm going to be explaining more about it. Now after this, we want to go ahead in the app.use, we want to go ahead and use this app. So we're going to say app.use, and we want to simply use flash, and we're going to open up the parentheses over there, and we also want to say another one for app.use, and we're going to pass in session. And in here, we're not just going to leave it like the flash. We want to pass in some things in here. Firstly, we want to pass in the secrets. Okay, so the secret is simply going to be process.env session underscore secret. Okay, so whatever you called this in here, okay, it's not whatever you call this in here. I think it's simply going to be session.secret. Yeah, session on the underscore secret, just like this. Okay, so we're gonna pass in session underscore secret over here, and I told you guys, make sure it's whatever you name this in here. If it's not what you name this in there, then you're gonna get an error. Okay, so session underscore secret in here, we called it secret key. You could call it session underscore secret. You could just call it whatever you want. Okay, so we're passing in the session underscore secret, and also we are gonna pass in receive. So if nothing is happening, do we want to go ahead and save anything? So we want to be receiving any session variable if nothing has changed. That's what receive is gonna do. Pass in first, and let me just go ahead and add in the comments, and let's say we won't receive the session, that's a lot of s, a session variable if nothing is changed. Okay, then after that, the next thing we're gonna do is let's go ahead and save on initialized, and we're gonna say false. So it's the same thing. We don't want to save anything else if nothing has changed already. Then after this, we want to go ahead and use some other things like the passports initialize. So I'm gonna say app.use, and I want to use it's called passports.initialize. So you guys remember we created this over here this is it over here, and we're exporting it. So when we come over to server.js, you see over here we can use it down here. Okay, so we open this up like this, and this is the function that we have inside of the passport config. I told you guys already. And finally, we need to get passport sessions. So we're gonna say app.use, and we're gonna say passport dot sessions. And I know if you're like say you're a beginner watching this tutorial, you're gonna get bored since a lot of things are not getting displayed here yet. But just hold on a sec, we need to configure a lot of things here. Now when you look at the server, you see that it will actually be running, but there won't be any physical change over here. Okay, and let me even show you. Okay, as you can see, it's crashing. That's because we haven't finished up what we're doing here. We're going to be getting an error, so we need to finish up what we're doing here before we go ahead and start demoing whatever we want to do. Okay, so if you're a beginner, just hold on a bit. We're going to go ahead and start doing some cool stuff from the front end. Okay, now after this, the next thing we need to do is go ahead and I think we should just go ahead and import the secret key that we've created and over here. So I'm going to come over to the top, like to the top part of the project at the very top, and I'm going to create an if statement, and this one is going to be for the env file. So I'm going to check if process. I want to make sure that's the right spelling of process. So if process.env.node_env is not equal to production, so this is quite easy. So if we are not in production, that's what we simply want to say. So you know what production and development are when you are already deploying and when you are still creating. That's just it. So if we are not in production, what we want to do, we want to simply go ahead and require the .env. You remember we created that, we installed that earlier, and from the env we are simply getting the config. Okay, so it's a method, so you need to add in the parentheses just like that. And let's go over this again. So we said if process.env.node_env is not equal to production, then we simply require this. Okay, I think I'm getting an error over here. Let me see, what's that saying? Let's look for a quick fix. Okay, let me see what's going on. Okay, it's simply reformatting the way we do things, but that's not what I want to do. Okay, so this is what I want to do over here, and after we've done this, the next thing we're going to do is quite easy. We already coming to the ending of this tutorial. Now we want to go ahead and work with the posting. So you guys remember we worked with the posting for the register. Okay, so this is simply configuring the register post functionality. You could just say whatever you want over here. Now we want to go ahead and do the same thing for the login. Okay, so this is going to be app.post, and remember the other one was register, so this one is going to be what? Login. You guys do right. Now this one is login, and we're going to pass in some couple things. Now we've written a lot of the functionalities almost, so we're simply going to pass in passport.authenticate, and we are over here. I'm going to pass in local like this. And in the locale, take note, there's gonna have like a comma over here, and it's gonna be a braces. Now we're gonna pass in some things here. Now, firstly, there's gonna be a success redirect. So if we logged in successfully, where do we want to send them to? We want to send them to the home page. But in our case, it's just an empty slash. This is it over here. Let me show you guys. This is it. An empty slash. So let's say I had something like homepage over here. That means in here I'm gonna be in the success redirect. Where is it again? Where are you, boy? That means over here I'm gonna be passing home dash page, but it's an empty URL, so we're gonna stick with passing in an empty URL. Now after this, the next thing we want to pass in is failure redirect. So let's not only work on the success redirect. What if there is a failure? Then we want to get back to the login page. Okay, so let the user try logging in again, and if the account does not exist, they can create a new account, something like that. And let's also pass in a failure flash. So this is simply gonna say, do you want to display the flash messages that we've got? For example, in the passport config, we've got this one that says no user found with that email, and we're still gonna work with some. So this simply what's going on in the server.js. In the failure flash, it's saying, do you want to return all those flash messages? And we are saying yes. Okay, so now to display the flash message, did I call that flash message earlier? Yeah, I guess I call that flash message. It's flash message. So to display this flash message in the login.ejs, what I want to do is quite easy. I'm gonna come over to the top, and I want to make sure that something is running over here. So let me go ahead and terminate this, and I'm gonna run it again. So want to make sure that this is running. Come on, boy, fire up yourself. So this is running. I'm gonna refresh this. I think there is an error. There is definitely an error. So it says if verify blah 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 requires a callback. Okay, I think we've got an error in the server. No, we've got an error over here in the passports-config.js. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and look at this again from beginning. So we said const local strategy is equal to require. So we are simply requiring the passport local, and from there we are getting strategy. And we also got the bcrypt as usual, and we created a function and called it initialized. We passed in passport. So we need to pass in one more thing. We need to pass in get user by email in here. Okay, passing in get user by email. Then over here we went ahead and created the functions authenticate users, and we say const authenticate users, and we passed in async, or passing the email password and done blah blah blah. Const user get user by id, and if user is equal to null, return done. We passed in null, we passed in false, we passed in a flash message. Okay, I think we missed out some things. Yeah, now in the if there is a try. So it says if await bcrypt blah blah, let's compare password. Then we went ahead and returned dot. Now we didn't write an else statement for this, so we're gonna say else. So if everything actually didn't go well, we're gonna go ahead and return done. And what do we want to pass in? We're gonna pass in null, and we also want to pass in, let's pass in false, and we want to go ahead and create a message. So we're gonna say message, and this one should be password incorrect. Password incorrect. Okay, so password incorrect. I think that should be it. Let me go ahead and look at this again. And we've got this one over here. We've got catch, we've got this and this, we've got password they use and all that kind of stuff. Let's look at our terminal again. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so now we are having an error in the passport config. If we come over here, line 25. Okay, so I'm gonna fix this. There was a space over there, and this should run our server again. Now we are still getting an error from here. So there's a couple things I think it's happening that's making us get an error. First of all, we are not using this authenticate user anywhere. We need to come over here and pass it in here. So we're now calling this all this code that we've written in here. And also we need to go ahead and serialize user and also deserialize user. I told you guys that we're going to be doing that the other time. Okay, so now in order to do this, it's not difficult. It's something that we could really achieve right now. So we could say serialize user is passing in user and done. And over here in this place, we want to firstly pass in done, and I'm going to get rid of this done. And in here, what I want to pass in is null, and I want to pass in user.id. Now for this one over here, for the ID, what we're going to do is quite easy. This over here, we're going to just break it apart because we're going to simply go ahead and return done. We're going to pass in null, and we want to simply go ahead and pass in get user by ID. Okay, and we're going to pass in ID in here. And after that, we simply want to pass in this get user by ID thing. We want to pass it in here again. So after this, now let's look at our server and see if everything is working fine. And everything is working fine. I'm simply just gonna go ahead and open this up. Let's refresh this. I think yeah, it's looking really good. Okay, come over here, come over to login and register. So I'm going to create a new account. I'm going to call this Samuel. I'm going to call this Tom. I'm going to call the password 1 or whatever. So this is the email I'll be using to log in. Now I'm going to sign in, and this is taking forever to load. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, now as you can see, it's created the user over here. Now I'm going to try logging in with the email. It's Tom and the password is 1. I'm going to hit sign in, and what do you notice? It just spills it out to the URL over here. So just like when we had the form over here, and we had to add some things in the register form. Hopefully you guys still remember from there. Now we added these two things. Now the same thing is what we're going to be adding in the login.ejs. So the login.ejs, we just need to look for the form and we're going to simply pass this in. But this time around, this one is going to be login. So I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to refresh this page again. And let's get back to the login page and make sure that we don't have any information in the database. I'm going to run my dev start again. It's working perfectly well. I'm going to register a new user. We're going to call this one Flourish. We're going to call this one Tom, and we're going to say the password is testing321. I'm going to go ahead and sign up. Over here we can see that we've got it. This is the email, tom@gmail.com. I'm simply going to log in with that, and the password is testing321. What do you notice? Now it says get user by ID is not a function, but I think it's already logging us in. But it said get user by ID is not a function. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's see where the error is coming from. Let me come over to get user by ID. I think this should be it over here. I think there should be okay, so guys, we've created almost everything that we needed. Now I'm gonna come over here and register a new user. This is the email that we used to log in. I'm gonna sign up, and for the email I'm gonna pass this in, and for the password I'm gonna pass in testing321 sign in. Now as you can see, it's bringing us to the home page, but it's saying an error, get user by ID is not defined. Now we need to work with this in our server.js. So over here we are getting email. We also need to get ID. So we're gonna say ID should be equal to that, and we're gonna say users.find, just like we were doing for the email. So we need to also find a user, and we're gonna say users.find, and in this one we need to pass in user should be equal to an arrow like that, and we're gonna say user.id should be equal to user. So we are simply checking for if the logged in user is matches to this ID that we've got over here. Then we want to go ahead and do something. Now I'm going to come over here and let's make sure that our terminal is still running and there is no error. Let's see what's going on. It says email. I think we need to come over here and let me add in a comma. Yeah, a comma over there. And now when I come over here and refresh this, now as you can see it's working well. Now I'm going to go ahead and hop over to the login page again. I'm going to come over to register and I'm going to create a new user. I'm going to sign up. That's taking forever to load. Hit enter over here. I'm going to pass in the login details and hit sign in. Now what do you notice? It's signing us into the home page rather. I want to call that dashboard. It's not a dashboard. Okay, so it's bringing us in here. Now some other things that we'd want to do is go ahead and display some errors. So if we're putting in the wrong username, the password and all that kind of stuff, we want to go ahead and display errors. So in the login.ejs, just over here at the top, I'm simply going to create a new div, and this div is going to have a class of alert, and this is going to be alert-danger. And over here I want to have a strong text, and this should be called error. So let's see how this is looking. Okay, so this is how the errors is gonna be looking. Okay, and in order to display the errors, what we want to do is quite easy. We're gonna be using EJS. So we're gonna say EJS like that, or you can open up parentheses. Not parentheses, angle brackets, %sign, closing angle brackets, and in here we simply want to check if there are any errors. So we're gonna say if messages.error. So if there are any message.error, and what we want to simply do over here is come over here and end this off. So this is just like the way of doing this in JavaScript. So we end that off over there, and for this one to restore, need to come over here and end this off just like that. So in here is where we're going to be writing all our function, or rather all our error message, not a function. Then in here I simply want to go ahead and call the message.error. So I'm going to say EJS output, and in here I'm gonna say messages.error. Okay, so with this now I'm gonna come over here and refresh. There is no error. I'm gonna try passing in something that doesn't exist. Let me just pass in something that doesn't exist, and okay, let me just get back here a bit. I guess that's new. I'm gonna come over to /login, hit sign in. Okay, I think we're having an error. It says login.ejs line 86 is having an error. Okay, so Where is this error coming from? Let me just go ahead and look at this again. So we created an EJS. We said if messages.error, then we ended this off over here. Then in the div we said div blah 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 blah. Then we pass this in, and for this one over here we ended it off over here. I don't really seem to know where this is coming from. Okay, and I think that's because we have triple S's. So I'm going to come over here and refresh this again, and when we try logging in, as you can see, it says missing credentials. Now I'm going to fill in username and password that doesn't match, and I'm going to hit enter, and as you can see, it says no user found with that email. Now I'm going to come over to register again. Let's also copy this error thing and paste it in the register, so in case we've got errors for register too, we're going to go ahead and see what the errors are. Okay, now for the register, I'm going to refresh this page, and I'm going to fill this in, and I'm simply going to hit the sign up button. Over here I'm going to pass in the email. I'm not going to pass in password that doesn't exist. What do you notice? It says password incorrect. I'm going to pass in an email that's not there, and I'm going to pass in, and it says no user found that email. So as you can see, the errors are working perfectly fine. And when I log in with the normal accounts that I'm supposed to log in with, what do you notice? It sends me over here